Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Dartmouth School Committee to order for Monday, September 23rd, 2024. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to our school committee meeting for the 23rd of September. Just a reminder that this meeting is being videotaped by Dartmouth High School Media as well as Dartmouth Community Television, and it will be a rebroadcast on Wednesday and Thursday at 5 p.m., Friday at 6 a.m., Saturday at 8 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. And as always, we thank our community partners. Could we have a roll call, please?
Kathleen Amaral.
Here.
John Nunes.
Here.
Bess Coughlin.
Here.
Chris Oliver.
Here.
Mary Beckwith.
Here.
Thank you, everyone. And for those of you in the audience and those of you at home, you might notice that we have a new face up here at the table, and we'd like to welcome our student representative. I believe her name is Audra. Audrey, and I didn't get your last name.
Audrey Kircher.
Well, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm a senior here at Dartmouth High School. I'm part of the theater company, student council, and our show choir group, along with winter and spring track. Yeah.
Well, welcome. It sounds like you're going to have quite the busy year.
Oh, yeah.
At this time, we have allotted 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak on any of tonight's agenda items. If you'd like to approach the microphone, we'd ask you to state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes, please. Thank you very much. I take that as no one will be coming up this evening. Next up, we have the approval of the regular session minutes of September 9th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nunes, second by Mrs. Amaral. On the motion, any further discussion? Chair hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. At this time, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the executive session minutes of September 9th, 2024.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, with the stipulation that they be held until the matter for which they were intended is complete.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Nunes, a second by Mrs. Amaral. On the motion, any further discussion? Chair hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next up, let's see, we have our student representative report. So we'll turn it over.
So I'm just going to be touching on a couple of things that have been going on at the high school recently. The first thing is that our theater company has just started our rehearsals for our production of Elf, which will be happening on December 6th and 7th, and we are very excited about that. Also, our sports have started. They've done a couple weeks. All of our teams have been doing very well. I just want to give a shout out to football, who currently has a 3-0 record, which is very impressive. We're very proud. And also, the school spirit has really been shining through at the football games in the student section. This Wednesday, the 25th, we're having our college fair for juniors and seniors. And it's really good, especially for the seniors who are just starting our college application process. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. We also have our Club Expo coming up, which is on Tuesday, October 1st, next Tuesday. And we're really focusing on getting freshmen involved in the school through different clubs. So that's very exciting. We're looking forward to that. Also, Student Council, we had our first meeting last week, which is very exciting. We got to establish our Student Council subcommittees, which will be working in different areas of the school throughout the year. We've really started one main fundraiser, which is our trunk or treat, which we are planning to happen in late October, we don't have specific plans on it yet, but we're getting very excited about it, and we would like to have everyone in the community to start getting excited about it. It's going to be a really fun night. And also, I'd like to give a special thanks to Andrew Moniz, who is a junior at Dartmouth, and he took time out of his own day a couple weeks ago to refurbish the 9/11 memorial that we have outside of the high school. So I would like to extend a thanks to him for putting that time in. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Questions or comments from any of the committee members?
Lot going on.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
Well, we certainly invite you and welcome you to stay with us for the duration of the meeting, but if you do have to leave at any point, we certainly understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have looks like a consent agenda item. Dr. Saba McGuire?
Excuse me, yes, you have a request from the DeMello / Cushman PTO for fundraising for 2024-25. It's my understanding that you will be receiving more requests from this PTO, and that what you have now is just a snapshot, and they needed to get it approved so that they could get going on their fundraising efforts, and so you'll be getting more information from the DeMello Cushman PTO as we move through the year.
Perfect, thank you very much. What comments, questions regarding this request?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Noon, second by Mrs. Amaral on the motion. Any other comments? Discussion? Chair hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Great.
Next up, under old business, preliminary FY26, standing agenda item to update the committee on any updates regarding our budget discussion.
Great. Before I hand it over to Mr. Kiley, I just want to say that, again, we have this as a standing agenda item. We believe that's important, and at the same time, we have to understand that in tandem with developing the multiple budgets, we're also presenting, and hopefully the school committee will be approving a strategic plan. And so keeping that in mind as we're developing a budget, I think is really critical, because there are going to be some items that are embedded within the district strategic plan that will require us to look at the way that we funded certain areas over the course of the past probably many budget cycles. So with that, Mr. Kiley, I know you have a few updates.
Sure. So thank you, Dr. Saba McGuire. So we're working on the budget, working on preparing the FY26 budget on our end. As Dr. Saba McGuire mentioned, the strategic plan, as it should be, is a very critical component of preparation of the budgets moving forward. And in light of that, we had originally scheduled a budget subcommittee meeting for September 30th. I would ask that the school committee, certainly subcommittee members, budget subcommittee members, consider delaying that meeting, deferring it until the strategic plan has become a public document, and that the school committee has had an opportunity to consider it. To really do it justice the way it should be, we need to make sure that the preliminary budget preparation reflects that. And I wouldn't want to take things out of order by doing it otherwise. So I'd encourage that course of action.
I don't have any concern with that. I'll turn it over to my colleague who's here on the budget subcommittee, right?
Yeah.
With me? You okay with that?
I'm absolutely. I think it makes perfect sense to do things in order and definitely take into account the strategic plan.
So happy to maybe at the next meeting we can look to schedule another date and time for a budget subcommittee meeting. But I think that certainly That certainly makes sense. I guess along those lines, and if I'm out of order, I'm the chair, I guess. Will we be having like almost like a policy, a first look through, a read on the strategic plan and voting on it at the next meeting, or would you be interested in having us vote on it that night?
We have a date that we will be providing you with the district strategic plan in detail before the October 7th meeting. So you will have had it, you'll have had time to certainly review it.
Yep.
And if we are able to move forward with the vote on October 7th, that's what we would prefer, if you feel that as a committee you're ready to go ahead and
Okay.
take that vote. But we will have it in your hands, I think, up to a week. We have a date set.
Good.
September 30th.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause-
We'll have it to you a week before.
Because we have our final meeting tomorrow, am I correct? Yeah.
So you will actually have a preview of what the
Yeah.
detailed report will
Right.
look like tomorrow.
That sounds good. So,
Yeah.
I think as long as we get it ahead of time,
Yeah.
you know, I could certainly see the need to try to vote on it as soon as possible, so.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. No, and I am certainly looking forward to it. I actually had an opportunity to speak to Gary and Pam
Oh, you did?
actually last week
Yeah.
at one of our sessions, and they couldn't say enough about their time in Dartmouth.
Yes, they've been wonderful to work with, and we look forward to actually having at least one of them come
Yeah.
to the committee meeting that night to just introduce them to all of you.
Yep. Perfect. Anything else under the budget?
No.
From my colleagues,
No,
anything in
thanks.
regards to the budget?
I'll hurry up and wait.
No? I certainly appreciate it, keeping it front and center for sure. All right, next up, under new business, superintendent's update.
Yes, so I have to remind myself that it really is only September 23rd, and we really are only a few weeks into the school year, because the way it feels right now, and this is in a positive way, it's like as if we never left. And we know school years are cyclical, and there are certain things that you go through every year. And for me, I feel like time has like a little bit condensed for me here in Dartmouth, and we're already up and running with so many different things, and listening to our student rep talk about the football game and that student section. Again, seeing that that is consistent in the Dartmouth schools, for me, that is something that I'm learning, that there's a consistency here to what the school community is committed to. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, it's September 23rd. We really are only going into, we're still in the first month of school. But under teaching and learning, I want to invite Dr. Thibault and Mrs. Paveo up. They are going to give you some updates on the work that they're leading throughout the district at the elementary, middle, and high school, pre-K, elementary, middle, and high school, around the curriculum initiatives that we are invested in.
Good evening. Want to go sequentially, I guess?
Sure.
All right. We'll start with the little guys and move our way up. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to highlight some of the things that are happening in the Office of Teaching and Learning. I'm just going to take a quick minute and update you on what's happening with some of our pilots at the elementary level. Our literacy pilot is happening in grades K through 5, and all of our pilot teachers have launched their modules in EL education. As we've done a deeper dive of this program, there are consistent threads that we've seen across grade levels, noticeably a focus on learning targets, strong vocabulary development, and some real conversational classroom protocols for students to discuss their learning. This week and next, pilot teachers will have an opportunity to meet with folks from EL during 3 different office hours. It gives them an opportunity to ask some questions and get some support on the work that they're doing. And while we're working really hard on that pilot, we're simultaneously gearing up to begin looking at another program. And so on October 10th, the folks from Amplify will be here to deliver some professional development to our pilot teachers on the units that they'll be trying out from that publisher. And that pilot will run for 8 weeks. And then at that point, our team will do a final analysis of kind of all the data that they've gathered throughout the pilot programs and they'll make a recommendation for a program going forward for the fall of '25 for a full implementation K-5. And while we have many folks who are working really hard on our literacy pilot, we also have a small but mighty team of 3rd and 4th grade teachers who graciously volunteered to engage in the Department of Ed's Social Studies pilot that's happening in grades 3 and 4. Up until now, Massachusetts history and social studies teachers have really not had easy access to a comprehensive, authentic, inquiry-based curriculum that's fully aligned to the 2018 standards. And so DESE, to address this need, developed in collaboration with teachers and history scholars an accurate, culturally responsive and inclusive curriculum. Units in this investigating history curriculum are fully developed and published, grades 5 through 7, and they're in the pilot phase in grades 3 and 4. So we are certainly glad that we have some teachers who are committed to that work and working with the state to refine those units. And best of all, they are free of cost. So it is a totally free curriculum and comes with lots of really great resources. We have a couple of teachers who are working on the 5th grade, even though the units are not in pilot. They're trying them out and working with their colleagues, their grade level colleagues, and really have nothing but great things to say about the resources, the primary sources that go along with it, and it's really rooted in inquiry. It's a shift of me just sort of giving you historical facts to regurgitate back to an inquiry-based model of really diving into some of the things that our kids are learning about and the why and the understanding of sort of a lot of the really great things that go along with that.
Thank you, Katie. So at the secondary level, we have 2 different pilots going on. One is in math up at the high school, and that is in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, and really it encompasses every one of our math teachers in the department, except for one, and that's only because that particular teacher teaches stats, which is not part of the pilot. In addition to that, 2 of our special educators are part of that pilot as well, because they're co-teaching in the math department, and so they have access to all of the same professional development and the resources that our math folks have. We actually just finished our 2nd implementation training day, Carnegie, with Carnegie Learning. They came out to support our math teachers on September 11th for a full day of professional learning, and they will be back actually on September 30th. Patty, who is the coach from Carnegie, will be spending the day to provide on-site support, visiting classrooms, working directly with our math teachers and with Ms. Xavier and myself to support that work. And then they come back on October 8th, 9th, and 10th. So it's really, I emphasize that because it's a high level of professional support that Carnegie offers during the pilot phase. And I can say from looking at Mathia, which is one of the online AI-based platforms that comes with Carnegie, can see the progress in real time of students working through the different modules. And so that has been, they've gotten off to quite a strong start, and I think it will only get better as the year goes on and they continue to get support directly from Carnegie. So we're excited about that. Do want to acknowledge it's a lot of work as well, though, right? And we're very appreciative of our math teachers who are really putting in the work and learning an entire new curriculum. And for some math teachers, we should recognize that they have multiple preps. So for some of them, that means 2 subjects, maybe Algebra 1 and Geometry, or Geometry and Algebra 2. So we appreciate their hard work, and we really, are excited about the outcomes for students and for our teachers. In addition to that pilot, we also have a world language pilot going on. And again, it's only for Spanish for the world language, but our teachers worked with our middle school teachers in the spring last year to select the curriculum, to vet the curriculums, and to select the one they wanted to pilot. And so they're working through those resources. As with any curricular resources, there's always so much more than they can actually possibly use in a given time. So that's really what they're working through, and we're looking forward to supporting Mrs. Souza, our language teacher, who's coordinating that work. So those are the two pilots, the two main pilots. We have a science pilot as well at the middle school, Open SciEd, which really is piloting a unit this first year. There'll be grant opportunities later in the year that we're hoping that Mrs. Dekas in the middle school and myself are hoping to pursue to offset any of the costs associated with Open SciEd. I wanted to give a shout out and recognize Mr. Higgins up at the high school. We just finished our summer reading. We had summer reading discussions last week, I guess it was, and you know, the Dartmouth High School, Dartmouth Public Schools summer reading program. It's really unique in many ways. We offer a vast amount of choice to our students. We had 37 different titles at the high school level that were sponsored by faculty members and students alike. We also empower our high school students to lead book conversations, you know, with the support of a faculty member. But that really, to me, is a hallmark of our summer reading program and really a strength that's worth celebrating. And it takes a tremendous amount of work by Mr. Higgins, but also by the faculty members who sponsor a book and all of the faculty members who sit in on the summer reading committee and vet the titles to make sure that they're, you know, developmentally appropriate, you know, for the high school level. So huge shout out to Mr. Higgins and to all of the faculty members who were part of that. And then finally, the final piece of my update, the Playbook Initiative application opened on September 15th. It closes on October 1st. You probably remember last year was our first year doing the Playbook Initiative, which you know, is an anti-hate, anti-bias curriculum that seeks to have high school students train middle school students to be upstanders and not bystanders. So we're looking to build on last year's success. We'll be applying again to be part of that program and to really expand that work. And I met recently with Mr. Rossi and guidance counselors down at the middle school. I met with Ms. Chamberlain here at the high school. And so we're looking forward to putting in that application and hopefully being selected again and strengthening and growing that program. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, great.
They tried to escape before you did.
Great presentations.
What do they do during the day?
Right.
And so I just want to mention a couple things. One, Dr. Tebow mentioned, but you know, we can't thank our teachers enough for being willing to take on the pilots, because these pilots are quite a bit of work for our educators. And what we've seen, even today, where Ms. Paveo and I were out visiting schools, and teachers are excited to talk to us about the work that they're doing, and at the same time, you can we have to acknowledge that this is brand new to them, and therefore it's almost in some cases like starting over and really having to dive into a new resource that requires quite a bit of more of additional preparation time, and that's happening at all levels of the school district right now. And what I hope that will make this connection is when we do introduce the district strategic plan formally, you'll see that that's a major area of focus, and that came out through the surveys, the focus groups, through the conversations that we had with educators across the district. So we're excited to see that that work is moving, and I think it's moving at a pace that is quite impressive. So I also wanted to next invite Mrs. Redlawn and Mrs. Denisio up. They are going to give you some updates about things that are happening in the Office of Student Support Services.
So to add to the list of new hard things we're doing this school year, DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, has rolled out a new individualized education plan form, a new IEP form. This is a big deal because this has been 10 years in the making. They've been trying to get this out, and it's finally ready. So districts have until Thanksgiving to start implementing this form. So we have begun as soon as the school year started. The current form, well, the previous form we were using it for over 20 years. So this is a huge change in practice for a lot of our special educators. And we're learning new things. Really, the spirit of the new form is to be a more based picture of student learning and provide access to accommodations throughout the school day. So the intent behind it is lovely, but the practice of changing what you've been doing for so long is challenging. For students, for teachers, but I would say for parents as well. So in light of that, we are holding a parent information night to introduce parents to the new IEP this Thursday, which is September 26th, thank you, at 6 p.m. here in the library. A Zoom link is also available for those who can't join us in person but still want to hear about the changes. A flyer is in the parent backpack, but also a parent square notice went home. And there is a QR code you can scan in there if you would like to join us via Zoom. So hopefully we'll have a good audience and really just start to do some of that proactive work in discussing the changes they can expect to see at their students' IEP meetings this school year.
All right, and then one more save the date that we have is October 15th at 6 o'clock at the Quinn School, and that will be this year's first CPAC meeting where the Special Ed Parents Advisory Council, in partnership with Dartmouth Public Schools, will review the parent and guardian rights, as well as you can learn how CPAC can be a bridge for supports and resources for you. And also, if you're looking to join and be an advocate for your child and those the other children in Dartmouth, you can come and learn how to do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, I also want to just take actually this moment to thank district leadership, obviously in partnership with school-based leadership and our educators, because you can hear that there is a lot of work that's going on, and we're really grateful to have the leadership that we have to be able to support the number of pilots and just new initiatives, and that all requires planning and work with teachers, and it has to be really thoughtfully planned for and implemented. So I want to thank the team here for coming up and updating you, and that will be, again, something that we do on a regular basis at our school committee meeting. I also thought now would be a good time to let you know that MCAS results will be released publicly tomorrow, so we won't be able to talk about them this evening, but certainly at an early date, we'll be presenting our MCAS results to our school committee formally, and at the same time, we'll be looking forward to sharing the MCAS results now in with the thought of how are we using these results as part of how we think about the initiatives that are connected to our district strategic plan. And because I can't say too much, I do want to say that we do have some highlights that we'll be excited to share with you, and we'll be able to do that starting tomorrow. So we'll look forward to having more discussion about that. So that's just that's called a cliffhanger. So I also want to give you an update about where we are with personnel. Again, something that I like to do with all of you on a regular basis to let you know where we stand. For the past couple of weeks at school committee, I've said that we're looking for a BCBA. We are cautiously optimistic that we have one who will be a really good fit here. Again, as with the world language teacher, once they're on board, we'll be inviting them here to meet with you. So we will let you know about that. We're still working on a 0.5 PE/health wellness teacher. So again, we say that both for the committees, certainly to share this information with the committee, but also to have the opportunity to talk about it publicly. And if people may know somebody that may be interested in the position, please encourage them to apply. We're still in need of a maintenance worker. Mr. Kiley, am I correct about that? Yes, and so we're working on that. And so all of those positions, the positions that aren't filled aren't positions that we're just shrugging our shoulders and saying, oh, well, we're out there and we are actively seeking applicants for those unfilled positions. positions, including the one at the high school shared with the middle school, which is an EL, English language teacher. Very difficult positions to fill, not just here in Dartmouth, but across the state, and I would be willing to say probably at the national level. So we're still working on that. We're still working on at the, my computer isn't, my laptop isn't agreeing with me or cooperating with me. So we're still looking for 3 ESPs at the high school, at the middle school. I mentioned the EL teacher. We still need food services support. And now for certified staff, we are also looking for a special educator at Dartmouth Middle School. At the Quinn, we are still in need of an ESP and a full-time custodian, although I understand that we've had a couple of interviews, and if we have them scheduled, we've conducted a few, and we may be close to identifying someone for the position. At the Potter, we are still looking for a part-time custodian. No, we're not. Did you see me looking at Kate? Because I see it says we're onboarding somebody. So we're not. So that's exciting. And food services. Cushman, fully staffed. So we're really in good shape there. Happy to say that. So as always, a plug for monitors, substitute teachers, ESPs, food service workers. Again, Dr. Thibault, Ms. Paveo, I see that they are constantly interviewing, especially for those substitute positions. And so that's always going to be on a rolling basis. So people should know that just because the school year started and you may not have applied for a substitute position doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities that are still available. So with that, I'm going to move on to climate and culture. As I mentioned at every meeting, that we're confident that our schools, as we walk through them, there's a lot of really good positive energy in our buildings. And one of the things that we do when we visit schools is we make sure that we ask our educators, have you had a good start to the year? And we're hearing, yes, in fact, they have. So we were at the Cushman and the DeMello today and able to talk with teachers and to interact with students. And there's so much positive energy and just good work going on out in the district. We also talked at our last school committee about safety precautions and the things that we're doing here in Dartmouth to ensure that our students and our staff are safe. Very well versed. The staff here is very well versed in safety processes and procedures. And one thing that we did this past Friday, Mr. Kiley, myself, Mr. Galashaw joined us. We met at the police station with the police chief, with our 3 fire chiefs. We met with EMS. We met with our lieutenant here who works with our SROs and some other folks just to be at the same table and to talk about ways in which we can. We have great relationships with all those folks. They're really wonderful to work with. And at the same time, what we recognize is there's opportunity for us to strengthen those relationships. And one of the steps that we're going to take in order to do that is to establish a district-wide crisis team. And although, again, as I say, our schools have things in place, we're looking to look at our processes and our structures in a way to just strengthen them and just to make them more routine in terms of what we're doing across the school district. So I really thank all of our public safety folks for being willing to engage in that conversation, and that we have some next steps that came out of that opportunity to meet with them. Really, and it's really about us having a coordinated response to any type of emergency that could go on, not only in the schools, but in the town, because oftentimes schools are supporting town needs during emergencies, whether it be weather or other types of crises that may occur. So I also met with the folks from the Council on Aging, and I have to say, love working with the team over there. They have followed up with our athletic department, and we're looking forward to welcoming our seniors to our October 18th home game. And there will be an opportunity for our cheerleaders and hopefully Mr. Nunes to recognize that our seniors are there with us that evening. They loved it last year, and they're excited about having this opportunity again and to making it a regular part of what we do in partnership with the Council on Aging on an ongoing basis. The other opportunities we talked about was, we did have a group come to a basketball game. And so making that, not that it's by accident, but that we just build it into the regular work that we do in partnership with Council on Aging. For the second year, our cheerleaders are going to be joining, traveling to the senior center, and they'll be participating in line dancing with our seniors. Again, they loved it last year, and they learned a few new dances. And when they came back from that experience, I'm talking about the cheerleaders, they immediately talked about wanting to continue that relationship. I also talked to Mr. Petrio about the Valentine's dance, which is a big deal. We didn't have it last year, but we're looking to reinstitute that for this year because that was something that, again, between the school and the seniors, that everybody enjoyed so much. So we're looking forward to continuing that or restarting that for this year. It's so nice to have our student rep here because she did quite a bit of the sports, and but I do have a couple other updates that I added in, and I stole it, I just want to say, from Mr. Christofouli's Monday Minute. It's super helpful to me because, yes, the football team is doing great, and other teams are doing really wonderful as well. Girls soccer had a couple of big wins. That's been exciting. Field hockey, as you know, they're doing quite well. They had an undefeated week, and apparently beating the crosstown rivals a big deal. All right, so that is exciting for the girls soccer team. A special shout out, this is from Mr. Christofouli, but I just wanted to state it publicly as well. DCTV director, Mr. Peter Chase, he installed our indoor cameras this past week at the Lynch Activity Center, and so we're close to being able to stream the indoor events as well as the outdoor events, which is exciting for our students and our families to be able to see some of those athletic events on a regular basis. And also a special shout out to Kathy Thornton, who was selected as she's our athletic trainer, by the way. So she was selected as the 2024 District 8 nominee as Athletic Trainer of the Year. And I can say I've seen her in action out on the field. I see the way that she has a hawk eye. I see her, if a student, I wouldn't have caught what was going on with the student, but she's clear across the field, and I can see her getting her golf cart, and she's right over there. And so she is a great asset to the sports community in making sure that our students are safe. So I think that is it for me for tonight.
Oh,
Excellent.
that was just so short.
I know.
You only touched upon a couple of topics there. I was expecting a little bit more.
I could add some if you would like, Mr.
No,
Oliver.
in all honesty, I certainly appreciate not only your report, Dr. Saber McGuire, but as all the your department
Thank you.
reports as well, from teaching and learning to special education. I would just ask that, me being a techie, that I would like to hear from the tech director maybe at one of the next meetings as well, because I'm sure there's some projects.
Well, he has
I'm sure there's some projects there.
As you know, Mr. Oliver, Mr. Galashaw is not shy of a microphone.
So I've heard.
Hasn't found one he doesn't like yet.
I'm still hearing some chuckles about opening day.
Yeah,
But in all honesty, thank you.
of course. And we will have Mr. Galashaw at a meeting.
I, for one,
soon.
appreciate the community engagement that's been taking place under your tenure.
Thank
So
you.
I see that you're doing a lot of work. And any of my colleagues have any comments or questions from any of the superintendent report?
No, I mean, just what Dr. Saber McGuire was talking about, the cheerleaders being at the Council on Aging, and it was taped by DCTV, and when you sit down, you know, and I've caught it a few times, finally probably pieced it all together and that. And I'm not quite sure who was having more fun, our cheerleaders or the seniors type of deal. Probably, you know, it was the same, but they were having a great time with the dances. So
That's
it's awesome that they do that.
They do, I love it. I was able to be there last year, and there was so much enthusiasm and laughter in the space. And so the fact that they want to go back and do it again, I think is, and there are some new students, new cheerleaders, so, and I can't thank the cheerleading coach enough, because obviously she has been the conduit to making sure that this happens.
That's great. All right, report of the chair. So a couple of things. I just want to thank the committee for our workshop session that we had last week. I thought it was very helpful. One of the things that I'd like to do at an upcoming meeting is maybe just go over and just reiterate to the public what our goals are out of that policy that we have. I think we came to the conclusion that overall we're doing a fairly good job, and we should all give ourselves a pat on the back. And just looking at the goals that were there, that you know, we're pretty much already doing them. So I think it's worthwhile, though, to just kind of memorialize it in a meeting, so that we share with those at home as well as everyone here in the audience as to what we're doing as far as hitting our goals go. So in addition to that, some of you, or all of you, should have received an email from MASC regarding the Division III Virtual Resolutions Clinic. It's happening tomorrow at 6 p.m. There's still a chance to register. And that is just around, and I know we do get a lot of correspondence from MASC to our home addresses. So if you haven't had an opportunity, one of them is the flyer, which it has all the resolutions that they'll be voting on at the fall annual meeting. So if you hadn't had a chance, go ahead and register. At the very least, take a look. One of the things we should be doing is we should be, I believe, electing someone to serve as our delegate at the conference to vote on how Dartmouth essentially represent the Dartmouth Public Schools, the Dartmouth School Committee, to the rest of the MASC and all the other school committees. So I'm going to get a little more information about that, but I think it may be worthwhile that we start doing that and sending to the delegate assembly, you know, a representative from the Dartmouth School Committee.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Sounds fun.
Next up, I had an opportunity to, after our workshop meeting, Dr. Saban McGuire and I spoke about a timeline and some more details around the superintendent evaluation process, now that we've all received some more materials as well. Dr. Saban McGuire came up with some indicators that she felt would, you know, touch upon her goals, so I will turn it over to you.
No, I hope I had included that in the Friday update. I included a document that basically took the MASS DESE superintendent evaluation document, and with Mr. Galashaw's help, we did sort of clip it so that we only sent what we sent to you on Friday was only the part where you would actually interact with that would be the interface with the actual document. The other thing that we thought when Mr. Oliver and I spoke, we thought that it would be easier and more focused if, and I think actually when I think about it, I think Mr. Kuchar brought this up too, when we met last week at our workshop, is that you don't want to be trying to comment or evaluate all of the indicators. I'm not even sure of the exact number, but you can see that there are quite a few. And so what I tried to do, again, in partnership with Mr. Oliver, is pick out the ones that in each one of the standards, the indicators that I thought were most relevant to the work that we did together last year. And so selected 2 per section, in addition to the goals. So the goals are their standalone goals, and then the 4 indicators, I selected 2, again, per standard for a total of 8, plus the 3 goals. So that really gives you hopefully enough to look at and to evaluate the evidence that I had shared with you earlier in the year.
I certainly think so.
Yes, I hope
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
concerns
No.
around that?
That should be
So
fine.
the idea is, and I wanted to get feedback from our evaluation committee.
That's us. No, that's all of us. But then it's you and I to be the aggregators.
Yes, so it's the two of you that are putting them together? So we have a school committee meeting, well, we have the 7th, that's pretty much gonna
It's not gonna,
cover the strategic plan. What, I'd love to see this be presented at the October 21st school committee meeting. So,
Okay.
do you think that's doable? Do you think that's a reasonable time frame for us, for everyone to submit their evaluations? And then give you folks some time to compile them and turn them around for the 21st?
When that would meet.
we meet the 7th, so
Yep.
I'm thinking, sorry.
No. How
No?
many weeks would you need to?
Oh, let's see, the 14th, correct me if somebody, the 14th is Columbus Day, that's a holiday.
Agreed,
Yep.
yes.
And the 15th is town meeting? Is that our town meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. What have I got? Don't mind me. Oh, jeez.
You could certainly push it back to November, but
No, I got what you're saying here. Well, what's your,
So on the 7th, we meet,
yeah,
right?
then we meet the 21st.
And so we
If they,
submit to us, right?
if they got everything to us by the 9th,
9th.
By the 9th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
October?
9th or 10th, yeah.
if we got them the 9th or the 10th, and then you and I, well,
I mean,
you work at home, you work from home
Yeah.
on Wednesdays, right?
yeah. Yep.
So if we got together the 16th or 17th, would that work?
Yeah, and then we can have it ready for.
And then
yep.
we'd have it ready for
That'll
the
give
20
us
yeah,
plenty of
that
time
21st
to independently.
21st will work,
Yep.
okay?
So did I hear the 9th?
Yeah, if you get,
9th.
if you get the information to either Miss Amaral or myself, between the 9th and 10th type of deal,
The 9th.
well,
We'll say the 9th.
yeah, okay, the 9th. Then,
The 10th, we can go.
yeah, and then, the 16th, her and I will sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work for you, Dr.
That
Saban
does, I
McGuire?
appreciate that, thank
six-
you. Yep.
This, once we put it all
Mhm.
together, we sit down with you to put it together and go over it with you,
Great.
okay? All right,
Okay.
okay? All right, let me plug that into my calendar now.
Perfect. That'll be great. I thank you both for working together on that.
Yeah.
And if anyone has any questions about the evaluation process, you could certainly reach out to me, or you can also reach out to our superintendent. So if we could just make sure we have that on the agenda for
The 21st.
21st.
And just, as dumb as it sounds, just put a brief reminder on the 7th so that it doesn't slip anybody's mind.
On the agenda on the 7th.
Just as a
Yep,
a-
we
a
can do that.
brief update, that's all.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, everyone.
All right.
Beautiful.
And that is all I have. Anything for the good of the order from my colleagues?
I just got two quick things. Number one, it was interesting that our student rep was talking about ELF, and, she's in that, and they've started rehearsals. They were starting rehearsals tonight, so, here we go, type of deal. But the band had their first competition Saturday night up in Bellingham, hosted by Blackstone, in the drizzle and rain and everything else type of deal, and they really did an awesome job. They ended up with an 81.9. That was the top score for the evening, and they took all the captions in their class. So, here we go, and this Saturday, we head out to UMass Amherst for a competition out there,
Nice.
so. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nunes. Anyone else?
We'll see everybody Friday night at the football game.
All right, with that, next regularly scheduled meeting of the Dartmouth School Committee is Monday, October 7th, 2024, same time and place. At this time, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nunes, second by Mrs. Amaral on the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Good night, everyone.
Okay.